The 2021 Population and Housing Census is scheduled to be rolled out in April by the Department of Statistics in the Ministry of Sustainable Development. Today, we have three special guests who are here to tell us more about what can be expected from this year's census. We welcome, happily, Carlton Phipps, Director of Statistics, Samantha Huggins-Watley, who is in charge of advocacy and communications, and Cornel Williams, social statistician and my old college buddy. So, welcome to Good Morning, SKN.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, it's great to have you talking about something that's so very important, and I know that you don't normally get the publicity that you deserve, so let's bring the conversation to you in this way. Tell us about the open day that you had last Friday to, as I think it was, dubbed educating the public on the upcoming census.
Last Friday, we hosted our first census drive, as we named it. That was held downstairs of our building in the Total Concepts parking lot, where we had on display educational material, which were in the form of brochures, where we gave definition of the population and housing census, enumerators, and what's not. The general public was they engaged greatly with us that day. We had students also from the Bastia High School as well come over, where they engaged with the staff that was down there on one-on-one as well, where we gave them information, the pertinent information concerning the census, and also the importance of the census and why everyone should participate.
All right, well, you know you're not going to get away. Perhaps you can turn to the thorns and to the rows between them today. But in terms of that pertinent information, what can you tell us, if you can proceed? Cornel.
As to what are some of the areas that we cover? Well, the census is almost all-encompassing. We profile the country, Federation, St. Kitts and Nevis, so we look at things such as the age and sex of the population. We want to know, are you employed, unemployed? We actually look at the conditions of your living, what type of materials are there for the house, your roof, your walls, how many rooms are there. All of this is geared simply at trying to ascertain the living conditions of the public so we can provide that information so policy planning decisions can be made to improve the lives of everyone here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Wow, that's so very important. I never even thought of that you got to such a granular level.
Yeah.
Interesting. Director, you're very quiet. And I know that you're not shy.
So as you started out talking about the 2021 Population and Housing Census, we're now in 2022. Yes, we were really scheduled to conduct the census last year, but because of the COVID-19 situation, we had to push it back. So now that cases are low, we're ready to go out into the field and start collecting such information. The data that we have on hand was collected in 2011, that's now 11 years old. So we really need to update our estimates on the population. We need to have an update in terms of the situation, in terms of the demographic characteristics of our population. That is what we're about to do now. So we are reaching out to the public to let them know that we are ready to come out in the field to collect such information.
Okay, so I see with this census, you're going to use tablets to collect the information. Was this form of technology used before, or was it always paper?
For previous censuses, it has been paper.
Okay.
However, we would have had some practice, or say initial practice, having done the country poverty assessment. We did that in 2018, and we used the tablets.
Okay. So
that gave us the ground to, spread this to a bigger side, because that was a survey, but now we're doing a census where you have to do everybody. So it's on a larger scale. I don't think we would have attempted anything like this if we didn't have that forerunner to give us the practice and the experience of working with the devices. So, but I would say it is very interesting. Cornel has been doing the training with the tablets. He's responsible for our training and field activities, so he could say a little more in terms of that experience.
Well, the first question is why tablets? Picture yourself asking somebody quite a few questions. I won't give a number to scare anyone. And these questions are, your responses guide your next question and the next question and the next question. So you have to be able to move between responses. If you say yes, then this is where you go. If you say no, this is where you go. That's the first thing. Secondly, you're capturing all of this information on paper, and you have to transfer this to an electronic form. This is an error-ridden process. So using the tablet, we've got a software called Survey Solution, which makes it very much easier. It skips and moves for you. So you no longer have to verify, am I going the right way? The software guides you. It's already in an electronic format. So you're skipping a few steps in getting to the point where you're actually able to get information out that you can then pass on to the public and to the policymakers, etc. So the tablets make it much faster, much easier, and actually more accurate for us.
All right, so I'm curious, does this save at all? I know it saves in time, but does it save at all on the manpower that you have to devote to the field?
To some degree, yes. You still need to cover the entirety of the population, but given that you can manipulate and move faster in asking the questions, capturing your responses, you can actually make the decision that you can have one person do a larger area or a number of areas as opposed to one for one, because it takes so much longer.
All right, so it's definitely more efficient.
Yes.
Definitely.
So the theme for this year's census, it's me, you, and us. Anyone? And why 2021 and not 2022 though?
Okay, 2021, because that is when the census was really supposed to happen. Okay. But because of COVID, the pandemic, and the cases, we had to push it back.
Okay.
So because the cases now are lower, we are about to go into the field. We want to take this opportunity to know that we don't have that high level of cases to now proceed with the census. That's why. So we still kept the name 2021 Census.
Okay.
The slogan, it's me, you, us, 2021 Census. That we would have had our competitions in 2020 before we did our pre-listing exercise. And that slogan jumped out at us because it encompassed the full meaning of the census. It's me, you, us. 2021 census means it includes everybody, because everybody must be counted and everybody has to participate in order for the census to be a success. For us to get the real information that we need in order for policy changes and what's not to be done properly. So it's me, you, us. 2021 census encompasses everyone.
I like that you're shedding light on that, because a lot of times we think of policy decisions being made and we say, okay, they're guided by decisions, but we don't see the work that goes into getting the data to inform those decisions. So thank you for shedding light on that.
It's better if everybody give information on their behalf. Personally, I want to give my information because I know my information better than anybody else. I suggest you do the same.
Okay. You expect them to question the children too?
Well, they won't question the children, but I'll be able to give all the necessary information on the children.
Well, you seem to know plenty. Tell me more about this census thing.
The census information is used to make important decisions that affect everybody. To decide on healthcare, education, pension, jobs, and so on, they use census information.
2021 is census year. Be ready to give your full participation.
Census? What is that, Granny?
That's when all the people in the country are counted and other information collected so that we all can have information about us.
Well, Granny, you better make sure you take part.
2021 is census year. Be ready to give your full participation.
I am glad I was there to take part in the last two censuses. I have seen over the years how things have changed. They even come a long way with how the data is collected. Now I see they're using tablets to enter data. This is really the technology age.
What is that? What is that? Saragana?
Don't worry, June. When the time comes, we will answer on your behalf.
2021 is census year. Be ready to give your full participation.
So there was simulation and there was animation.
Yes.
Before you answer, was the animation used to reach the children, and were there any other methods that were used to sensitize the public?
Sorry. The animation was used to reach the general public, basically, because we know some of the adult population do lean towards animation as well. Other methods that we use to sensitize the public, we would have had an interview yesterday with ZIZ, where we discussed the importance of the census as well, our upcoming events. Previously, we would have had our official launch, which was held on the 11th of March. Then that same week, we would have had paraphernalia drop-offs at all the primary and high schools in St. Kitts, where information was given to the children, because we know children get information, they take it home to their parents, and that's when they have the discussion with their parents, like, Mommy, what is a census? Can you speak more of that? So that was one of the important aspects that we did. Tomorrow we will be in the industrial site area, sensitizing the workers there. We also had our informational booth, I think it was 2 Fridays ago, in downtown Bassett here, where we also sensitized the general public on the importance of the census. So we are really out in the field trying to garner the support of the general public and sensitize them on the importance of the census and the fact that the information that they will give us will remain confidential, because we know persons can be very tricky when it comes to their personal information. So we want them to know that, yes, you're going to give it to us, and yes, it will remain confidential. Also, we have upcoming island-wide drive-thrus, where we're going to go around the island sensitizing the general public as well. So in all of this, we are hoping that the general public will understand the importance of the census and will give us their full cooperation. Yes. Very good.
It's a major undertaking, I have to say.
Yes.
When we begin to talk about the enumerators, do you have a sense of how many enumerators you will be using in the training and how they'll be deployed?
The number is around 160 enumerators that will be responsible for collecting this information. Additionally, you have supervisors to ensure that these persons do their jobs efficiently and completely. They're deployed, I would have mentioned earlier, enumeration districts. We've broken down the entirety of the island of St. Kitts and also Nevis, every parish, into smaller, more manageable areas called EDs. And each person is assigned one of these EDs, and they're responsible for ensuring every single household, every single building actually is captured and information is provided for buildings, households, every single person in that area. So once everyone does their job, every ED is covered, we would have captured all of St. Kitts and all of Nevis.
And that training has been completed already?
Ongoing.
I mean, it's ongoing.
We're ongoing. So we would have started in Nevis. We would have trained some 90 persons in Nevis. And we've had the first wave of training in St. Kitts as well, where some 80 persons were trained. And we are currently this week training another 80 persons, give or take, supervisors and enumerators. So once we're finished, we should have in excess of 200 persons in the field between St. Kitts and Nevis, going door to door, house to house, person to person, and hopefully capturing every single person in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Okay. So, Mr. Phipps, if I wanted to sign up to be an enumerator or anyone else, does that opportunity still exist, or it's closed already?
Yeah, that opportunity is basically closed. As I said, we would have placed an ad for persons to apply back in February to apply to be enumerator, and based on the persons who would apply, those are the ones that we have started working with in terms of training. And then we see how we go from there, because there may be 1 or 2 persons who may drop out because they find a job, even though they started with an interest, would have found it unmanageable. We're hoping that we don't have too many of those. But such is the case, then we would have to fill in. So we are constantly contingency planning in terms of ensuring that we have enough persons so we can get this done in a timely manner. We don't want to be out there for any extended period of time. We have set basically 2 months, April, May, to complete the data collection, and we want to see as much as possible that we can stick to this. Of course, we are limited by devices. Probably if you were doing paper, it would have give us a little more opportunity so we could add more persons, but then that creates problems at the end where you have to do all the data entry of this paper information. So we are working the situation as we go along. Thank you.
All right, I just have to ask this particular question. This is 2022, we're conducting census 2021. When will the next census be held, and what will it be?
Do you have an
Well, given no other pandemic of this sort, that the next census should be back in 2031.
Oh, so it's every 10 years.
So it's every 10 years. We conduct the census every 10 years.
That'll be 9 years after, just to set the record straight.
But you do know, if I could add to that if you go back to previous censuses, we were doing it on a zero. So 1970, 1980, I think there was some issues there between 90 and 91 that we probably were not quite ready, so it shifted to 91, and then we did 2001, 2011. So we sort of stick on the one. But I know I won't be around for the next census. Maybe my colleagues decide to change it back to the 0. But we see how that goes.
I won't ask you what that means.